processing. Okay. Looks like we are live.
Great.
Yay. All right, everyone. Welcome to Through the Portal. This time I have with me Chloe Buzzotta. Is that how I pronounce it?
You're saying it pretty well, yeah, Buzzotta.
Okay. Yeah, so Chloe, meet Chloe. Chloe has spent nearly 15 years living inside this question of what it actually takes for humans to thrive with the planet rather than on top of it. And her work sits at the edge of futures thinking, future thinking meets soil, where the word regenerative is not a brand, but a lived commitment tested in real communities, real ecologies, and real relationships. And yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be on. I'm excited of the outcome and everything in between.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. Yeah, let's start. I think we let's just dive right in with a question I have for you, where you can maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. But my question really is like before you really thought about words like regenerative or futurist, which I think you can maybe define as well, but like how would you describe what you're really going, what you're really, reaching towards or trying to bring into this world?
Um, that's a good question and definitely one I sit with a lot. I mean, it hasn't been quite 15 years, but it's been close to that. So, you know, thinking about that for that long, it does you use words that other people are like, if they haven't heard before, like, what is that? And um, so my m- the first motivating piece for me was when I was 19. I just got really upset and disillusioned really with the way that people were treating the earth. And I was so sheltered living in suburbia, and no one talks about, especially 15 years ago, it talks about climate change and just the degradation and how we are actively affecting it just by consumerism alone, not to mention all the other factors and histories at play. And so that was just so devastating to me that I had to find a way to be part of the solution. And luckily, at that same time, I mean, I did find like Greenpeace and things like that, which is again like kind of stop the bleed type of scenario. But which I was involved with at some point. But then I realized also at the same time, like there's also a solution oriented things that I can get involved with. And the more that I kind of dug into that and got involved, the more I was like, yeah, I think that's my part to play. Not that, people doing Greenpeace and stopping certain things going on isn't important, because it is essential, but also there's not that many people that know about like eco villages and intentional communities, and like thinking about where we're going to go after we stop oil, after we stop, terrorism, or not saying authoritarianism, things like this.
Hmm. And where has this journey led you then?
Oh, where am I today?
Yeah, like what can you just describe a little bit what this journey
Like my
then looked
background
like?
and
Yeah, like when once you were like, okay, I want to go into a little bit more of a solution oriented, you know.
mhm,
I think you mentioned to me that you've lived in some
right.
intentional communities. So describe, yeah, maybe give a little bit of background there, what happened, and
Yeah. So when I was 19, well, it was like 18 to 19, I was really in this dilemma, right? And then 19, I end up dropping out of college, and moving to an intentional community in Canada. I was living in Georgia in the US. And so, um, in I was joining these people not that much older than me that were starting to create their own community and get the word out about this type of movement of like permaculture, just eco living and living together. And so I learned a lot in that experience, and I learned a lot about myself because they actually invited me on as the community affairs head shortly after I arrived. Um, and so from there, I got involved with the Global Eco Village Network, and I was again elected a role in that movement, in the North American region. And so I just kept getting into positions that, not only allowed me to see the perspective of what community can look like, alternative living can look like, which is so hopeful to me, but also, how I am actively playing a part in that, and how many people could be actively playing a part if they saw how amazing this lifestyle and felt it, feeling, going to a community and living there and then going back into mainstream society, even if it's just for a week, it's just like a radically different experience. It's like your body longs for feeling safe in an environment, knowing everyone, like waking up and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have coffee and food with my friends today. Whereas, doing that in your own life, you have to go to the grocery store, you have to go to the coffee shop, you're often alone, even if you are in a relationship. So things like this, if that answers your question.
hmm. So living in those communities, what were kind of the maybe not so good things that you've noticed? Or what are the tensions? What are the things people need to get skillful at when they want to maybe attempt a lifestyle like that?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I guess like to answer the first part of your question, everyone's always like, commune and cults, right? That happens only after you've successfully attracted members and buy land. So everyone's afraid of the cults in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and those were real. But I feel like we're actually in a time where cults are much less likely or short lived because, um, people don't people didn't have access to the internet then, and they just thought, oh, this is my only way to live alternatively, so that's how you do it. So that kind of, to answer that question, which I could go into a lot more detail, but as far as like what I address and see, it's like many more of these places need to exist where we're, more in harmony with ourselves, with each other, and with the planet. And I think eco villages offer that opportunity. It answers a lot of crises. So, um, but people are so far removed just even from being able to connect with each other. And then there's so many legal, and zoning loops you have to jump through, and business loops that, people often just like, oh yeah, I can just buy land with my friends and we're going to get along great. And it's almost never the case. And unfortunately, people have to lose thousands and thousands of dollars, and unfortunately, friendships during that process. So, I'm obviously an advocate for it. I see how it's been done correctly, and most people just burn themselves out without even really trying to find the right way to do it.
Hmm. So would you say that there's definitely some learning um, involved of how to even be in a community, and that it's not, not always pretty, or not always um, without conflict, right? Like you
Yeah.
always have conflict, and you know learning of how to be with even with people that you disagree with, and you know
Right.
because not everyone, like you can't, if you think about like the whole world, you're not gonna be able to have an eco village for everyone in their friend group, right?
Right. Well, that's the goal, I guess, but yeah, we're very far from that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how do you look at I mean I've heard a lot of or read a lot about things like going beyond that existing infrastructure, like how can we bring the eco village to the existing infrastructure kind of thing, like bringing that mindset and that lifestyle to maybe an existing neighborhood, um, versus, because, realistically, not everyone will be able to go and be in a, financial restrictions, or even just um, other restrictions, like disabilities or something like that, or just dependencies on, the let's say the like healthcare or something like that, right?
Right.
And proximity to certain things that they can't maybe leave. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few ways to answer that, but you're absolutely correct that that's where we need to be thinking. I think the utopian eco village out in on a homestead is very privileged and not like you're saying, not very accessible. And we're at a point where we need to have movement quickly. And I do still think those communities are essential because they're experimental hubs, if you will.
Mhm.
They help us fine tune what we can bring back into society. And, that's that I learned that because I worked with elders, not because I have my own 15 years, but because I heard about their experience and what they've lived through in this movement. Um, but I will say that there has been a lot of work around people doing this in the city or making strides towards it because at the bottom line, we are trying to solve many crises at once uh, using this method of living together because that's kind of the stem of what's happened. The root of it is that we are so disconnected from how we're getting our basic needs, things like this, that eco villages are kind of a comeback movement. And so there's so many other ways in which we can do that. um, and so something big that's coming up now is like mutual aid groups. So how do we be in a community without living together? Again, ideally that group eventually says, hey, yeah, like there's a vacant apartment complex or duplexes or whatever that we eventually want to move into. And maybe just even if a small group moves there that have been actively working together, I do think that it again creates this hub thing where now they're able to host events together. They're able to make a lot more food for their friends and family, for homeless people, for blah blah blah. But of course, it still can happen just by being a mutual aid group, not having to do that. I just, again, I'm such a long term thinker that we're in such a short term world that I'm like, well, yeah, this is a stepping stone to that.
Mhm.
But anyways, some kind of eco village in townships. So transition towns is one big way to do that. You might be more familiar because you're originally from Europe, although I guess it's all over, but started in the UK, called Totnes, or the town was called Totnes. And so now they've kind of done this all over the place. And it doesn't mean that there's any very successful ones. Their ideal is to be 90% off of fuel reliance and into local community reliance, meaning basically revillaging.
Mhm.
um, but of course, that's a very lofty goal in today's world, but even if they, as a town, got even 30% or 50% back into people's daily routines, that's huge. So they're finding a lot of different creative ways to do that, even going into local currency, a lot of type different cooperatives, things like this. And then there are a lot of urban eco villages that exist, and create even affordable housing. Not to say because it's a urban community makes it affordable housing, because
Hmm.
unfortunately that's not always the case, but it can be the case.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I've heard of different initiatives, even like in the US, having kind of like a shared, kind of like a, where people get together cooperatively with solar panels and doing kind of like a shared power safety net essentially for, getting a little bit more sustainable on off the dependency on the power grid, and things like like elements of eco villages, like
Mhm, mhm.
shared equipment or something like that, like you have like a neighborhood tool library or something like that. So like little things like that. Yeah, definitely also very things like permaculture yards and
Right.
permaculture
Yeah.
society. Um, so yeah, I guess my next question would be, how do you fit into that? What are you doing? Like what's alive right now? Like what are you working on?
That's a great question. Um, I would say it's multi-tiered. Uh, Currently, I've been working on a consulting business where I do help individuals, to your previous question as well. Like I've realized that, yeah, not everyone can just like quit their day jobs and join an eco village. So how can I help support individuals to do this? And I don't really talk to each person about this, but my goal as a whole is to mobilize it into more of a movement, because I've been in this for long enough to see what works and what doesn't as far as movement building, in this sphere. And I would love to see, yeah, localized hubs doing this, people stepping into their best self, and as they're able to launch their own business, get really clear on how they're creating impact in their community, then we can work collectively, or we can even offer guidance as kind of like the umbrella, like, okay, you're doing that in this area, how can we support you? Or even like create get a group of people to come and do work trade for them and things like this. So that is kind of my 5-year plan, if you will. I'm still very networked and, talking to people like yourself, and many people, and offering kind of my guidance that I've gotten over the years. And we have a homestead here, and working with, other local communities in the area.
Hmm. So you're still on the homestead and doing what are you doing there? Like is this like a big part of your offering, or like more locally, or are you
Yeah,
trying
it's been,
to
you could finish what you're saying.
or are you trying to like be more of a uh do more like a remote kind of support?
Yeah, I do, because the consulting business is a little bit newer. Like I have been consulting for some time, but it's been more of a trying to get consistent clients. I'm kind of in this limbo because we love our property, and we did originally think that we will have a group of people here, but this opportunity allows for me to travel a lot more. And as you probably can imagine with homesteads, you have to be a lot on site in order to do it successfully. Like even we go away for 3 days, it's like, okay, what about the chickens?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And if it's hot, then how do you water it successfully and things like this. So We have, like I said, local communities in the area that we participate in, and in fact, I'm hired to consult for them. So I don't feel like I'm missing out by not having my own. But I think we have done work trade. Like we've built domes, we've built tiny house, we have had people involved in these things, and it's been really exciting. But definitely long term, we want to live in more of an eco village setting. And we both, me and my wife, have lived in eco villages. In fact, my wife grew up in one. But yeah, it's an interesting limbo to be in currently.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. You said your wife grew up in an eco village. What do you see as like the biggest difference, like something that is noticeable from when you compare yourself and your upbringing to her? That's kind of interesting.
It is very interesting. It's a very, inept question. Not many people would see that. I mean, I think a lot of people are curious, like, "Oh, what is it like for her to be in mainstream?" Which is kind of what you're asking, but, something she's been out of the community now for, 7 years, but the first 2 to 3 years was really like, yeah, you can trust these people. You should probably be more wary with those people. This is how you do it in work. You don't give yourself like you live in a community. You need to have boundaries. Just all of these things. Yeah, you're clocking in and clocking out now. Um, and so there was some transition that I was kind of able to offer her and understanding her perspective. But also the biggest thing is she kind of was elected to be the eco village welcomer, to help people like outsiders like myself to like learn about living in community. Well, I was supporting, I was already a facilitator and educator by the time I met her, but um, so we were hosting workshops at her eco village, which is how we met actually. But so she was elected into that, whereas I had this whole epiphany and like journey to become who I am. And so her journey has been more like finding who she is as her own identity, not just this person that's supposed to be an eco village welcomer or whatever,
Hmm.
So she has finally been like, this isn't. I will always love it and be appreciative of that upbringing, but it's not my journey alone. Like I will support you, but I have my own thing going on.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I think that's also interesting from a just a way of thinking. If see look at like the mainstream living, especially here in the West, is very individualistic. Everyone on their own and figure it out on your own, and you even see this in the regenerative field where it's like everyone's trying, thinks they have to solve all these problems by themselves, and then thinking about someone growing up in a community like that where it's almost the opposite, where you're kind of like, okay, I have to make sure I learn how to develop my ego or develop myself, right? As not part of the group kind of
Right.
thing, and not lose myself there. That's interesting. I think that's a um but yeah, obviously most people will have to learn how to be in community, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and understand a healthy balance. Like sometimes the community, or many times the community for her kind of took precedence over her individuality. And I mean, it is a very successful community. It's called La Cité Ecologique in Quebec. But yeah, for her to also find herself, and because she grew up there, like, have some time on your own to understand who you are. And I think that's an important part of the journey for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting something that you need to consider when you plan these things, and I think
Yeah.
it's good to have that as a you know as a summarize the skill and help to, if you can help with that, that's great. Yeah, I don't know. What do you, there's one question I have, one more question, looking forward a little bit more. If what you're doing right now, right? If that takes root
Mhm.
and you're successful and all of what you are trying to do is working out, what do you think is something that will become ordinary, that is
Ooh.
not, that is rare right now?
Ooh, yeah. I like this. My passion that I came up with a few years ago are called like emergent hubs, where you're able to innovate kind of like it's maker spaces, but it's almost like a pop-up villages in a way, which actually people are doing that, which is cool. I've been kind of checking out what they're doing, but um mine is more movement oriented, where again people are helping each other, or even there's a team, because there's still no team. Like people have been talking about this and doing these things for a long time, that like just like go and help build eco villages in whatever form that takes. No, there is no consultation team that actually has like from point A to Z that creates that. So I've talked to many people about that, whether it's their idea or mine or part of an idea. Like there's many iterations of that idea, that I can't fully claim, but I will say for me, like the question of doing it until it becomes ordinary is like, yeah, making like kind of a resource space in every town, if possible, that there's like kind of this consultation team that is like, oh yeah, Maria is doing this in her town, and we're offering some of these resources, and she's went through the training, so she knows exactly kind of the A to Z of what to do, and now we're able to fund her and resource her and help with those projects that she has on site. So that's kind of like I'm doing this as my own consultation, but I'm not a very material or selfish person. My idea is to keep funding this collective movement, and have people feel resourced and know what they're doing, essentially.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no, that sounds great. Yeah. There's actually a few people came to mind when you were saying that, um, there isn't really much like this going on, that I could, that I want to send you to connect with. And there's one, someone I also, a friend of mine who was on this podcast as well, Edward Zadelman. He's consulting on um, similar
Mhm.
similar projects. He's and he's part of this group, they call the Land Steward
Mhm.
Alliance, I think.
Oh, it does sound familiar, actually.
Yeah. So there is, people that have built eco villages or um, some sort of centers, um, are in this alliances. So that's I think that's pretty cool. Maybe you want to connect with them. And then there is another friend that I met on Substack, Jessica. No, yes, Jessica Friday. And there she has like, she's starting this hub called Connectioning, where and that's wider than Eco Village. This is more about like wellness economy based
Mhm.
projects, like connecting people that are trying to start these projects, and like connecting people to be like, okay, you're doing this, let's how can I contribute, or how can, is there something we can do together? So that's the whole background of that. So that's kind of a
That's
cool
awesome.
thing. And there's another group that does something similar as well. Um, they call themselves Nexus, Regenerative Nexus.
Mhm.
Um, I'll send you the exact, you know, links, and I think that that will be interesting too. Also, yeah, the person, the people um, with the Nexus group, they're called Regen Earth. Very cool group. I had them on my podcast before too.
Nice.
So yeah, if you know, I can also send you the link to the episode where they talk a little bit about themselves. So all cool stuff. So more connection, yes.
Yeah, and that's great to hear that you're connecting with all those people yourself.
Yeah, so beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah. No, and that's pretty much like what my work is about, is
right,
trying to really, and that's why I'm doing the podcast too. It's like kind of
right.
trying to find these people like you that are doing these things, these beautiful things, and supporting these initiatives that are really helping, our relationship with the earth and with each other, right? And
Mhm,
with my art and what I do is kind of like trying to inspire that and help people like you and others in this space really connect to their vision and help them, be on their path. And my work is mostly, um it kind of starts after what, where strategy or planning or those kind of things have taken people. So I'm not, I can't consult anyone on how to build your eco village, right? That's not what I do, but it's like connecting to this layer that's more of a embodied visioning,
mhm,
right? So the layer of what wants to be sensed, what wants to be imagined, what wants to be understood symbolically about the vision that you have. And then how
mm,
do you bring that into your life, from like a ritual or like a more embodied connection to this vision versus just planning and writing, and having it in your mind.
right.
And and I do art as well to sup- to bring the kind of an anchor
Mhm,
to that, giving like a tangible form to that, what was sensed symbolically, um and then allowing people to connect with that then every day, right? Because I believe that when you start to actually feel into your vision, right? And when that becomes visible on in artwork or however, right? It's a lot easier to live into that vision and to connect to the vision, even when you have days where you're like, what am I even doing?
yeah.
Like, why? And this is not working, and why, what's so special about this, or what's so good about this, and going back to that, like, yes, this is why I connected this. So,
Yeah. When would you say that someone is ready or needing your type of consulting?
yeah, it's interesting. There's actually two markers, I think. One is, I think you have to have some sort of cerebral engagement with your vision already. Like, you have to have thought about, what is your vision? What do you want to bring into this world? What, maybe have like a rough plan, something that, yes, I want to do something, right? If you don't
Mm,
have that, then I don't think it's valuable. You need to have something that you already thought about. And then I think the second part is really more of a readiness or connection piece, is that you need to be open to allowing yourself to connect to that, not really mind-based level of seeing your vision,
mhm,
right? And there might be people that are like, no, that's just woo-woo. I don't understand it. I don't want it. And then it doesn't do
mhm,
anything for them, right? Like, you have to kind of be open to saying like, yes, I have thought about my vision, I've planned, maybe I've even have a detailed plan of a strategy of what I want to do. And I understand that there is another layer of understanding, of knowing this vision and feeling it and living in it, embodying it, that I'm missing, and that will help me, and that will make this more holistic, this vision, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So that's kind of like where my art, or where
So
my
you do help them execute in a way through the art?
yeah, yeah, it's not like I'm giving them any plan in any way of um analytical or planning, or thinking about, oh, I want to have a, eco village, and this is how I want it to look like, and this is the people that I need, or something. Not at all, not at all. It's all really just, how does that feel?
Right, it's more introspective, like art
Hmm.
therapy or something.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, how does it feel? How does it feel in my body? How does it feel in my life? What is like the symbolic layer of it? And in this podcast, I actually do a little bit of that. So you'll kind of see a little bit of how I work.
Great. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember you saying that, but I wasn't holding out in case you didn't do it.
yeah, I do. So you ready for that?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna lead you through a little meditation with a visualization.
okay,
And then afterwards, I'm gonna change my camera. You can, you can share what happened, what arose in you, right? And I'm gonna do a little sketch while you talk, and then we can, do a little back and forth of, I'm gonna ask you a few questions and stuff.
great,
And I'm gonna paint what you saw, or paint what my interpretation of what you're sharing.
great.
Okay, you ready?
Yep,
All right. So let's get comfortable. I invite you to close your eyes and just breathe. Some deep breaths. There's no counting or anything. Just, whatever feels right now. And when you inhale, I want you to just kind of scan anywhere in your body, if there's any spots, any muscles that are tense, somewhere where it's uncomfortable or not relaxed. And then when you exhale, just try and loosen those muscles. Do that a few more times. Just breathe in, scan around, usually in the shoulders or maybe your thighs and hands. And then breathe it out, let it go, soften the muscles, relaxing into this moment, this space. There's nothing you need to worry about that happened before. And there's also nothing that you have to worry about going on in the future that's going to happen then, not now. Right now, we're just sitting here, softening the body and breathing. Feel the connection to earth. You can feel it on your feet, maybe your thighs, and maybe your arms if you have arm rests. Just feel the gravity, the pull, the way this earth holds us, something that is there at all times. Just so beautiful for me. Like you can rely on that. It's not going away. It's always there. Just feel it. It's the undercurrent of our existence here on this beautiful planet. She always holds us. And one more time, breathe in to scan. Sometimes we tense up a little bit again when we try and feel the connection. Just soften any muscles. Feel yourself just sitting in this moment, in this room, in this planet. And then gently put your attention on the space where your heart is in your body. And imagine you're breathing into that space, like there's energy flowing to that space, gathering. The heart, your passion, your love, your heartbreak, anything that moves you. Connection. Breathe into that heart space. Then slowly and gently imagine a little channel flowing upwards from your heart, a stream of energy, the space between your brows, and let some energy pool there. Breathe into that area, still connected to the heart with a gentle back and forth. We want to breathe into that space between your brows, where your vision sits. Let's do a few more breaths. And then imagine from that energy, there's a portal or a doorway manifesting in front of you. It's gently building in front of you. And this is the doorway to this inner space of vision where your path, your vision lives in a different way. And I want you to slowly move towards and then through this door or portal into this space of vision. And just let it all surround you. You are inside. And we want to explore with our senses. I'm going to guide you through this exploration. First, I want you to focus on the sense of smell. What kind of smells are in this kind of space? What would you smell? Just notice. And then let's shift to our hearing. What kind of sounds occupy this space? Anything you hear. And then let's move to the sense of touch. So anything, any movement in the air, the quality of the air, is it warm or cold? Maybe there's something close by that you can feel the texture of, or maybe under your feet. And then I'm going to skip taste because usually we don't taste anything unless there's something to taste. And let's move to vision. And last but definitely not least, a very big sense for us as humans, usually, some more than others. Let's just kind of explore what you see. Are there any special colors that dominate? Any patterns, shapes, objects, any creatures, any plants, structures, anything close by? What's there? What appears? And what's in the distance? And just take it in, look around. You can focus on different things if you see something, and if you don't, that's fine. Those things also in those kind of vision spaces tend to shift a little bit. They're not like in the real world. Now I invite you to move through this space if you want to look at something more closely. This is your inner space. You can go in there wherever you want. And then I want you to imagine that this space has a voice and it can give you a message or something that you need to hear on your journey, something you need to hear right now. And it might be words, it might be a sentence, or maybe it's just a feeling. It's something that you need to know. And then take a deep breath. And we want to say goodbye for now to this space. Remember, it's now within you. It's always there. You can always return whenever you need to. And slowly move back through the portal into your body. Feel yourself sitting. You can wriggle maybe your hands, shoulders, and open your eyes and come back. And we're back.
Yes, that was lovely. Thank you.
A little journey.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Um, I'm good, but like I feel like halfway through I I'm really good at visualizing the things I want, but whereas the ask felt like to visualize something new, and so I had to, like, kinda reel myself back in instead of thinking of the things I already want and, like, just allowing the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a struggle to be like, just allow the experience to happen. Don't just visualize the things you want, which I mean, it still was a new experience because I didn't necessarily see all of the things that I saw, but um and the hearing and everything was very interesting, definitely.
Hmm. Interesting. Why do you think you felt like you couldn't, or you shouldn't visualize the things that you want?
Because I felt like with this type of experience or led meditation, you should be open to newer, like different possibilities, or allowing more of like intuition to come into play instead of what you think should be happening. And I always struggle between the two.
Hmm. Well, let me tell you, it's okay. You could, you can also visualize what you want. There's no there's no script here. All right, let's start. Walk me
I'm
through it a
gonna
little
just
bit.
let my dog in. He's crying.
Yep, absolutely.
You can come in. Come on.
Feels left out.
Say it again.
He feels left out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, let's just start. I'm just gonna, it's a little bit blurry. I don't know why. What what do you think? What walk me through what happened? Kind of
Oh,
from the point of the portal kind of being created.
it, yeah, it was cool that you started with something besides visualizing, but it's a lot easier to visualize. So as soon as I opened the door, I saw like a big meadow, um,
Hmm.
and um, smelling was also the hardest. I tried to smell like flowers or mud, because I just imagine in this space people are building like cob houses. So they're, using their hands and feet, and you just smell the kind of dirt, getting in the soil, things like this. Maybe I kind of smelled pizza, like someone was making a pizza in a cob oven or something.
That's nice. I'm gonna put a little pizza oven here.
Yeah. And I heard a lot of kids laughing. I heard someone doing blacksmithing, which was interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Um, and I heard tractors, because this is a very busy land. Like people are building and clearing and creating like a community here. Uh, so So yeah, I was kind of going back and forth because the property that have kind of fallen in love with, it's not this property we're looking at expanding. If we decide to commit to a more permanent place, is actually with a giant creek running through and then in a valley. But the first visualization, when you were guiding me, there was more of like a hilltop, the hillside. So it was kind of fluctuating between the two, but either way, there was definitely like earth ships, so like kind of a glass and earthen structure, popping out, and a few of them around. And people are just outside and really happy to be with each other and feeling busy but relaxed at the same time.
Hmm. So we had some people. Just gonna put a little,
Yeah, there's a lot of people just going around doing different things. A lot of kids.
Just gonna draw a few people here running around.
Yeah. And I was barefoot and the grass was feeling really nice. It was, like 70 degrees outside. Just felt really nice to be outside.
Did you hear something like any sounds?
Yeah, the blacksmithing, that was the thing that was interesting. Like I heard like the hitting the metal or whatever forging, and that was an interesting sound. But a lot of just kids laughing and in the tractor. I heard the tractor moving. I didn't really see a lot of that actually. It was just hearing it as I was, walking around.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And did you hear any message?
The message was again, I felt kind of like I needed to sit with it maybe a little longer. Like is it you're meant to do this was kind of it, but again, I was like, is that me thinking it or am I hearing it like
Mm-hmm.
externally? It was um, I'm not sure.
Was there
Didn't
like
feel
a
really sure.
certain feeling? Did it maybe feel like so it sounds like you had like a kind of in the back of your mind like a feeling of forcing it maybe a little bit too much,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah, stuck too much in logic around it
Mm-hmm.
rather than like I know I'm really good when I'm really in touch with my intuition and feeling the next place. So yeah, forcing it, I guess, is another way to put it, like, just thinking what's the best move instead of just feeling into it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you said you were trying to bring yourself back, right? You're trying to bring yourself back to like letting it happen.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then okay, so let's go back to the vision or the message of I meant to do this. Were you saying like maybe maybe that's something that I just want to that you're projecting into it, it's not like your intuition at this moment. Is that what it felt like? How did that feel?
Yeah, the feeling, like, if I was only focusing on a feeling was what this land brought me or this vision of, like, just calm, relaxed, just being there and a nice day, But then, yeah, when I was trying to think of what it was saying to me, or it was like, yeah, it felt kind of forced, like it wasn't. It should just, I'm not ready to hear it or think of it to. And I was like, well, but at the same time, it's like you're meant to do this kept coming up, so it was yeah, but it did feel like, "Oh, am I just thinking that?" I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel trust in this? Do you
Trust in
trust
what?
in this vision? Do you
Uh,
trust this vision?
I trust in the pieces of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you trust yourself with this vision?
Uh, I don't feel fully committed to that specific thing, no. I mean, I feel, again, like, that it could be happening in so many different places, but I don't know about being the one to own it or
Mm-hmm.
perpetuate it on my own.
maybe I'll I think I'm gonna leave the words off this time. Usually I write some sort of words or something, like what came up.
Hmm.
And maybe there's something to think about. And maybe it's just keep coming back to you saying it's very relaxing,
Hmm.
but you're also not, you also felt that message was not 100% yours yet. And maybe it's just a matter of, yeah, not forcing anything. Just
Yeah,
let it happen.
it seems like it.
Just let it happen. It will happen. Just let it happen.
Yeah, me and my wife, I think we put each other in that state of, like, things need to move forward, which we're really good at. Like, we've built a
Hmm.
tiny house because of that, like,
Hmm.
from scratch and done many other things, but we also keep each other in that state of, like, "Oh, what are we doing next?" Whereas before I met her, I was a little bit more like, "I know what I'm doing, and I'm kinda letting things play out." So that is
Hmm.
a good reminder.
Yeah, a little more relaxed.
Yeah, just intuition, let it flow where it's supposed to. Yeah.
Hmm. All right, this is how it looks like. I can't get it to be uh um not blurry for whatever reason. I don't know
Oh,
why.
well, it seems pretty clear to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks great. It's awesome. It's very
All
fun.
right. Let me change my video back so we can talk for a sec because oh, we're already over time.
That's
That's
a
okay. Yeah. I have a couple people online that joined. Thanks, everyone. I
Oh,
don't know if
cool.
anyone
Hi.
has any questions or comments, something they wanted to say. Um, I will wait for a second because there is a slight lag doing this through
Okay.
Zoom versus doing it directly on
Mhm.
Substack. So I don't think anyone has seen this yet. Oh, anything else you would like to share?
That I would like to share?
Yeah, anything that comes up.
No, I first just I appreciate it, and it was cool to experience it because I remember last time we were talking about it. So and it's nice to hear again what you're doing and um, anything I want to share about what we've talked about. Um, follow my TikTok. I don't know.
Is that where you mainly operate, just TikTok or maybe?
Currently, yeah. I mean, they can send me an email. I do have an existing website, but I'm working on upgrading it to have the services. But yeah, I guess to clarify a little bit of what these services are, I don't necessarily expect every person to want to create an eco village that works with me. Um, I've worked with nonprofits, individuals, just different people that want to do something good in the world or in their local community that's regenerative. I've helped people with books, apps, have a crazy dream and want to figure out how to make a reality.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, I think usually what I do is I post like the replay. There's like a recording and replay
Mhm.
on Substack, and
Mhm.
I have like a little summary that I add to it. And then yeah, if there's any all the links and things that we mentioned, that you mentioned, how people can reach you, if you want
Sure,
to
yeah,
send
yeah,
that
I
to
can
me.
send over some links that we've talked about in my own, sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't see anyone having any message right now. The stream has caught up. Yeah. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank
Yeah, and I
you.
hope we can in the future maybe do some together, some
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
collaboration. Yeah, I could see
Definitely.
that. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, well, let's keep reaching out, and if you have any ideas, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. You have
Okay.
a wonderful day.
Thank
Bye.
you. You too. Bye.